Hey everyone, what's up? It's Chapman here, and I know I've been away for a very long time, but if you guys watch the main channel, you will know why. And today, we are back with a well-requested one. The ultimate all-item Autocrafter system, the one that I built in the Hardcore series. This thing is awesome. It features a double looping filtration system in order to max out your crafting speed. It has an overflow protection system. It is double wide in order to squeeze in with any storage system, and it is a repeatable design. Now, these are the materials that you are going to need for the complete 9-unit build that we're going to build today. You're going to want to bring shears along with you in order to block slots inside of the hoppers, plenty of glass, some water, and some ice in order to build your waterways. And then, depending on what you are going to be crafting, you're going to want to bring along full stacks of that for the actual crafter, depending on what the recipe is, plus the extras that you are going to need for the filter hoppers in the back. And I mean, out of this whole Autocrafter thing here, this is probably the most expensive thing out of it. And then other than that, we'll go over some tweaks and whatnot later. And now let's get to building. And to begin, the first thing that we are going to do is we are just going to sit here and we are going to stack 3 chests high. And all of our items are going to be flowing to the right, and we're going to come behind and we are going to put 5 hoppers going into the back of those chests. Then behind our top hopper, we're going to place down a solid block with a temporary one below it and another solid block on the back side. This is where we're going to place our repeater facing into that solid block. Then we're going to put down a temporary block on the back with an observer facing out. Then we're going to build ourselves up. We're using our temporary blocks, and we're going to take our crafter and we're going to place it on top of that solid block facing in. We're going to place a hopper going into the back of the crafter, into the top of the crafter, and then another hopper going into the one going into the top. Coming to the back side, we're going to place down a solid block with a comparator on the outside. Beside that comparator, on the right side, so towards where we're going to be building all of our flow, we're going to place down a solid redstone block. Then we are going to jump down. Aiming at that comparator, we're going to place a sticky piston facing down with another observer facing inwards. And then, once you have that all done, that is your entire build right there for the Autocrafter. Now what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to fill these hoppers up here with our items for the actual crafter, which in our case for now is going to be the piston. And then in the top filter hopper, we're going to fill this up with the items that we require most for our craft. So we need a lot of bamboo blocks and a lot of cobblestone. So we are literally just going to do that and then fill the empty space with some shears. And on the back filter hopper, we're going to fill this with the items that we need less, as well as potentially maybe some more cobblestone too as well, because this one has 4 cobblestone in it. And then for our final hopper right here, the one that is going into the front one, we are just going to set this up with 1 of each block, and then we're going to fill the remaining space with some shears, or you could use it for some cobblestone because again, this recipe is requiring 4, but that is going to be good enough. And then all we need to do now is just build the item in order to have our items flow into the system. This is going to pull them down and out of the actual hopper or the water chain that is above it. And this is going to start crafting some items. And I will even give you an example. Here we go. Ready? Oh my goodness. Okay, there's our 3 pistons. If we set this to anything other than the first one, and we do the same thing, simulate these filling up, you can see we got 3 that time. Let's do that again, so better clarity. Sorry, we got 2 that time. And that is the system. Now, in order to stop all of that thing, like where it just flew out there, all we're going to do now is we're just going to put down a single chest in front of the Autocrafter, and that is basically how simple it is. Now, when these items fill up inside the hopper, all of the items are going to go into the chest, which are going to filter down into the bottom chest here. And the only thing that we need to do now is just keep on sending items through here, either via a hopper chain above it or a water stream, and you have yourself an auto crafting system. Again, you can do this with any item that you want in the game. The only thing that you have to do is just, oh no, not let that happen, and just make sure that you actually block the slots and turn the slots off. Now, for the overflow system, what we're going to do is we're going to come around to the right side of the actual build, and we're going to come to the back side, and we're going to build out some temporary blocks so that we are one block behind. Then we are going to place down a solid block with the dropper right beside it. And then we're going to take our remaining hoppers and we're going to run them going into the dropper. Now, with that done, we just need to place some redstone on top of that solid block, as well as beside it on top of the dropper. And then with that all complete, we're just going to come around to the front side. We're going to finish off the top here with a double chest. And that is both the Autocrafter with the Overflow System all in place. And basically what's going to happen here is anytime this chest fills up here and then it starts to overflow into the back of the hoppers and this chest, all of the items are going to filter around to the back here. Anytime it crafts a new item, it is just going to spit it out into the dropper. And then we just need to catch the items that come out of the backside here, put them into our refiltration system along to the top side, and we can auto craft items until they overflow to basically however many chests we want. We can make this like 7 high if we want to. And that is it. Now, the only thing that we need to do with this build is we just need to keep repeating this along this entire line until we have as many auto crafters that we want. Okay, now once you have your entire build scaled and repeated for however many items that you want to auto craft, in our case we have 9 here. This is what the entire build should look like. I mean, I should have showed you a time lapse of doing it. Now what we need to do for this entire thing is we just need to finish off doing the water stream, which is going to go directly above this back hopper right here, as well as flow down and across and then through, and we're going to have another water stream right here in front of these droppers. Now, this is going to catch all of the items that we have come out the backside, and we're going to filter them back up through and over top of the back hopper right there. And if for whatever reason you do not want to store any items here whatsoever, like maybe you don't want to store redstone torches, all you're going to need to do is you're just going to need to remove the chest for the items that you do not want to keep. You're going to remove the lower hoppers that are feeding those chests, and then you just want to take this hopper right here and you want to turn it sideways like that. Once you do that, any items that are crafted are just going to come straight through and then filter out to the back, where you can send them off to either your storage system or refilter back through the system in order to make like repeaters and comparators and things like that. And that is how you do that. Looks just like a storage system, doesn't it? It's kind of crazy. Now, for the water system, again, you are going to want to bring along a lot of glass or whatever items that you are going to need to contain the water. And then to start, we are going to come right up here. And in between all of these hoppers, we are going to place down either a piece of ice or some glass. Now, for our purposes, to make everything just slide a little bit easier, we're going to use ice. This has to be either blue ice or the packed ice. And then to the left and the right of that ice, you are just going to build this all in with your glass in order to build yourself a water stream. And that is going to be it right there. Next, what we need to do is we need to come around to the backside, and we need to do something similar on the backside, but we're going to use the actual dispenser row here as the one wall. So we just kind of need to do this. Along the backside, and then basically every other block, we're going to remove our glass, and we are going to put a piece of ice. Once we have that done, the next thing that we need to do is we basically just need to connect up these 2 water shafts right here, which means we are going to need to put an end blocker block on the end of our little water stream here, and then basically just connect A to B over here. And that is our one side of our water flow completely done Next, what we need to do is we need to come around to the other side here, and we need to do something similar. We need to have our items flow over and around, so that way we basically have our water stream flowing this way. Then we need to build ourselves a column. At the base of this column, we're going to need to remove this block in the front here and then replace it with a piece of ice. On top of this ice, we're going to place a sign. And then from here, we just need to fill this water column right there with our actual water. And that is our first phase of our water done right there. Now, we just need to come to the end of this water column here, and right where we see the ice, we are just going to place down a sign, another piece of water. We are going to watch that flow, and then we are going to repeat that same thing right where the ice is, and then water. And here at the end, we can either do a sign in order to stop the water from going down and place some water at the bottom, or we can just let it flow, but we're going to do it this way. And then we just need to repeat that same pattern. Where the ice is, put down a sign, put your water source in front of it. Do that one more time, and you should successfully see, well, you should see the items flow up, begin to flow over, and make their way around to the backside like you see here. The best example that we can see is over on this complete setup here, where we have all of our Autocrafters set up and ready to go. You can see the complexity of some of these items that we have going on here. I mean, we are crafting repeaters, and repeaters need torches, so we're actually crafting torches, overflowing the storage chests here, where the items are going to get shot into this upper chest and then sent to the overflow, which I can give you an example of right now. There goes your sticks coming out the overflow. And essentially, this is how your water flow should work. So you should have your items coming in and along and basically just flowing around in a circle, ensuring that everything gets double filtered and then sent back around into the system. The only thing that we need to work on now is we need to show you how to build this section right here, where we actually split the items based on whether they're coming in through the front or the back of the chain. Okay, you can see how that splitting system works. And that is essentially what you should have right there, just in your world. Now, in order to split your items and send them off to a storage system like what I just showed you up there, what you are going to do is you're going to come down to the end here where you see the water starting to make a turn, and you're going to bulk this up to make yourself a water path. And this is where you actually want to remove the end block and place down a sign. You're going to want to remove this block and put some packed ice below it in order to keep items moving. And I don't think it really matters which side you put your sign on, so I'm even actually going to switch it over to the other side for now. And this is going to be your exit for where all of your items are going to come out. And for our input system, again, we want to make sure that our items come in and flow along this back wall first, so that way they get caught at the end and then double filter through the system before sending out. And this is how we're going to do it for this one. Now, we could just put a dropper right down there and then just pump the items up and into the system, but again, they're probably going to end up coming up somewhere in the middle or along the front, which means they won't get double filtered. So for this, what we're going to do is we're going to bring along some extra ice, some stairs, some water, your packed ice in order to keep items moving, as well as a sign to go above it. And we're going to bring along some items for a drop-evator, or basically a dropper elevator. I like to call them drop-evaders. And to build this input system, what we're going to do is we're just going to build out with a little L like this. Then at the end of that little L, we're going to put our stairs and we are going to waterlog them. Once we do that, we can remove this glass block and we can put a sign right where it used to be and then remove the one below it and put our ice in place. And that is essentially going to be our input system. Now, any items that we drop right here are going to push towards this back wall. I mean, if I've done this correctly, we should see this glass come back around. Yes. flow back up to the top here and then be along this front row, which it is, in order to get pushed out to our sorting system. Perfect, and there's our ice. Now, like I said, all you got to do is just get your items into this little corner right here. But in order to do that, for some of you that are a little bit newer to Minecraft, here's what we're going to do. We're going to build ourselves a drop evader by removing that piece of water, and we're going to put a dropper facing up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stack 4 more droppers going into that top dropper like so. All of those are spitting upwards. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 hoppers and we're going to run them going into the bottom dropper. We're going to place a double chest on top of those hoppers. And then on the back side, we're actually going to need 2 solid blocks for this. And we're going to place one beside the dropper, right like so. We're going to place a comparator coming out from the dropper with another solid block in front of it. We're going to have a repeater coming out from the solid block. And then we're going to take our redstone and we're going to run it right like that. From here, we're just going to take an observer and we're going to face it going down into the comparator with some redstone dust on top, another observer facing into that redstone, and then we're going to finish this off with our redstone dust. Once you have that all complete, that is what your little dropper elevator should look like. I know I forgot the 2 solid blocks in the materials list, but whatever. But once you have that in place, all you have to do now is just dump your items into here. They are going to get sent up through the system. Oh no, I forgot to put a top. I forgot to put a topper. Okay, there we go. And they're going to flow through the system along the front, get the double filtration, and then send their little bums out to the storage system. So that is how you build the input system as well as the double filtration system and the exit out to your storage systems or whatever you want to do. A quick note, because I just discovered that up there, when you're around the backside here, you want to make sure that you actually try to cover these droppers if you can with some glass in order to stop items from jumping out. You may want to also run some glass along the top here too as well, just to avoid anything dropping into your actual system and potentially messing with it or screwing it up. But other than that, once you have everything all in place, you have all of your crafters sorted and figured out for whatever you're going to want to be crafting, you have your input and output system in place, you are essentially done. That is the full system right there. I'm not gonna lie, it's actually a little bit better than the one that I built on the hardcore series. This system is also designed so that way it can perfectly integrate with like another system. As you can see, we have a perfect corner right here, and we can essentially have one input system right here for everything, have this row of Autocrafters as long as we want. We could do it 100 long if we want to, turn the corner, do another 100 rows if we want to, or like I have over here, we can integrate it perfectly with an actual storage system. So it is completely up to you on how you guys want to set this thing up, and that is it right there. Again, this is what the single unit actually looks like. This is one singular thing. Depending on whatever you are crafting, just remember, okay, if you're doing one that uses a lot of items like this, you want to make sure your top hopper is filled with your most items required in the recipe, with the back one being the remaining or whatever basically, as well as the input feeding hopper. You want to have one of everything. Depending on how many chests that you're going to have down below it, all of these are going to fill up like a typical storage would until this hopper right here is full, and then all of the items are going to go from here out to your overflow system and then get recycled back into the system. But that is the whole single unit, including the waterways on top of it, if you were wondering. Remember, if you want to craft 2 items at once or 3, you just need to set this repeater either to the first one or any other one. The first one is going to spit 3 items out at once, like I'll show you here. There's our 3 items, and any other input is going to put out 2 items. And there's our 2. Okay, so that is the entire system set up right there. Again, if you don't even want to have storage systems, you just run this hopper out to the side, and you can essentially put this dropper anywhere and then just power it however you would like to, or just send the items off any which way direction you want to your storage unit. But that is it, your all item Autocrafter. Just come over here and dump your items into the system and watch them go through. Eventually, your items are going to double filtrate right through the system. Everything is going to fill up. You're going to get your items spit out. And that is basically how it works. Input system, double filtration in order to maximize your crafting recipe. And then everything gets spit out into either another Autocrafter or your item sorting system. You can obviously put a piece of soul soil right there in order to get the items flowing upwards and out faster. But that's it. At this point, I am literally just rambling on and on and on. But that's it. The all item Autocrafter. Again, you can craft any item in the game except for dispensers. We'll cover that in another video because I already feel like this one's getting a little long. World download's going to be in the description. Leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm out of here. Oh, and what do you think of my nice new comfy shirt? I actually hate it. I'm getting my robe back on. Peace.